Hey, I'm Evan and this is my final submission for Assessment 3, so I'll just jump in and give a quick demonstration of the gameplay. So as you can see, there's actually a lot going on in there. I've implemented a lot of features into the game, so I probably won't have time to discuss everything, but I'll go through some of the code and some of the stuff that I put into the game in this presentation. So for the intermediate categories, the ones I picked were Health UI, and I did a heart-based system. I changed the aspect ratio, and I did game feel elements. You might have also seen in the gameplay that I had a laser gun as well, but I sort of just wanted to do my own thing with the laser, and eventually I realised I wasn't following the brief at all, so I had to pick another thing instead. Alright, so this is how I got the Health UI working. This is sort of similar just to the code in the lectures, except I've also got this condition that checks if the player is invincible because I have an invincibility power-up. So after the health is updated and clamped, basically I used a for each loop to set all of the sprites in the Health UI to be active, and then I used this for loop to deactivate them from right to left. This was sort of hard for me to figure out. This took me ages to figure out that it needed to be like this, and the indexing looks kind of weird just because of the way the sprites are listed. So yeah, it sets the sprites active and then it updates the sprites, like it turns them off from right to left based on how much health the player has. Alright, so now I'll just briefly touch on the game feel elements. So this is the screen shake. As you can see, I actually made an animation for this. I did this before we learned it in the lecture. So the animation is just wobbling the camera, and you can see the screen shaking here. Basically how it works is I just have this trigger shake up here that I can activate in the scripts, and it'll just play this animation, and then it's got an exit time, so it'll only play for a little bit, and then it'll just transition back to still, and still is just nothing, it's just the regular camera. The way I did the sound effects is I made this SFX object, and I just have this array of sounds here that go into it, and then in the script there's just this function, and you can just play one of the sounds by entering an integer into it. I probably wouldn't do this in the future. I think I'd prefer to have the sounds attached to the individual objects, because I think that just makes more sense, but this worked and I don't have any complaints with it. For the advanced features, I picked an enemy that shoots bullets at the player, and I picked power-ups, and I made 3 power-ups and a power-up spawner to spawn them into the game. Here's a demonstration of the shooting enemy. So it just tracks the player like all the other enemies, and then when it gets to a certain distance, it'll stop there, and it'll just try to shoot at the player. You can see it does damage. Just have a look at how I did the tracking algorithm for the enemy. So this code just rotates the enemy to be facing the player. This won't execute at the start, and then if the enemy is in a certain distance of the player, this boolean will get flipped over, and then so the enemy moves here at the bottom. So after the boolean's been flipped over, it goes into this. So if it's cooling down the bullet, then it'll just jump out of the function and it won't shoot again. Otherwise it'll shoot the bullet and jump out. So because it returns in both of these instances, it won't reach this anymore, so it won't be moving anymore. What you just saw was the screen clearing power-up, so I'll explain how I got that to work. This is the enemy spawner script. So after the enemies have spawned, they actually get added into this list, the spawned enemy list, and then in the screen clear script, when the player collects the power up, for each game object enemy in the spawn enemy list, it'll destroy the game object. Yeah, so that's the game. As I said at the start, there's not nearly enough time in this presentation to discuss everything I've implemented, but overall, I worked really hard on this and I had a lot of fun, and I'm pretty happy with this being my first game. So yeah, that's about it.